The Knicks are coming off a very progressive season. They may have ended the year on a sour note after losing to Atlanta in 5 games, but they made the playoffs for the first time in 8 years and managed to get the 4th seed. The Knicks had a good offseason where they not only re-signed most of their key guys, but upgraded the backcourt by adding Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier. While the Knicks aren't a contender, the fact that they locked down their core will keep the franchise relevant for the next time a disgruntled star wants out. New York is one of the most attractive destinations for star players, so just being a decent team makes them an attractive destination for star players. So this video will break down 5 stars who could potentially end up on the Knicks in the future. This doesn't necessarily mean this upcoming season, but sometime down the line. In order to determine what stars the Knicks could potentially get, we're mostly looking at guys playing for bad teams who could eventually leave after they get tired of losing. The first player we're going to talk about is one of the guys on the thumbnail, KarlAnthony Towns. Cat is one of the top players in the league, but he often gets overlooked because he plays for the Timberwolves. Last season, Cat averaged 25 points and 11 boards a game, while shooting 48% from the field and 38% from 3. He's already the greatest 3-point shooting center of all time. The Knicks are pretty good at center with Mitchell Robinson, but Cat will be a huge upgrade as he's arguably a top 3 center. It's easy to see Towns wanting out of Minnesota. The Timberwolves have made the playoffs just once in the past 17 seasons. Despite Cat's incredible production, the Wolves weren't even close to making the playoffs last year, and likely won't make the playoffs again this upcoming season in the loaded West. With just 3 years left on his contract, it's possible that one more bad year in Minnesota could lead to Cat demanding a trade. Or, if he prefers to go the free agency route, he could just wait 3 years and leave when he hits unrestricted free agency in 2024. If Cat does eventually want out, why would he choose the Knicks? There are some reasons to believe he would prefer to come to New York. For starters, he will be returning home. Cat grew up in New Jersey and attended high school in New Jersey as well, so he could be motivated by returning to his hometown. Now, of course, he did have a rocky relationship with Coach Thibodeau back when he coached the Wolves, but that was over 2 seasons ago, and at this point, Cat is older and more mature now. It is possible that both Cat and Tom Thibodeau can just let bygones be bygones. Either way, the Knicks definitely have a chance at landing Towns, especially if the Timberwolves keep losing. The next star player we're going to talk about is Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell is an absolute stud. He's coming off an excellent year where he averaged 26 points and 5 assists per game. Despite being just 6'1", he's an unstoppable scorer, even against the league's best defenders. He's proved several times in the playoffs that he's big time, including a 45-point game against the Clippers in last year's playoffs. A player of this caliber would instantly boost the Knicks into contention. Unlike Cat, Mitchell isn't playing on a losing team, but I do think there's a chance he could eventually want out. The Jazz have consistently been a playoff team in the West, but they've never been a true contender to get to the finals. Even in a year where the Jazz finished with the best record in the entire league, they still couldn't get past the second round. The Jazz are a great regular season team, but they simply haven't put enough talent around Mitchell to be a true contender. Donovan Mitchell can become a free agent in the summer of 2025. That's 4 years from now, and if Mitchell continues losing early in the playoffs, it is possible that he could want out. One reason to believe that he might come to the Knicks is that New York is his hometown. He grew up in Westchester County, and his dad is an executive for the Mets, so he definitely has ties to New York. Furthermore, Donovan Mitchell has a strong relationship with assistant coach Johnny Bryant, who the Knicks hired last season. Johnny Bryant works closely with Donovan Mitchell in Utah. This is years down the line, but if Mitchell does eventually become available, the Knicks will be one of his top destinations. Next, Zion Williamson. This wouldn't be the first time Zion was tied to New York. Back in 2019, every Knicks fan was praying for the number 1 pick for the right to draft Zion. We all know that didn't happen, but Zion could still wind up in New York sometime down the line. Since getting drafted, Zion has turned into one of the league's top players. Last season, he made his first All-Star team while averaging 27 points per game on an insane 61% shooting. That's the most points per game by any player with over a 60% field goal percentage in league history. He's got an unprecedented level of speed, strength, and athleticism that makes him an unstoppable scorer. Despite his eye-popping numbers, the Pelicans didn't even qualify for the play-in tournament last year. Already, there's some signs that he could want out of New Orleans. Back in June, it was reported that Zion's family was unhappy with the organization and wants him off the Pelicans. Furthermore, Zion reportedly wanted the Pelicans to bring back Lonzo, and they instead decided to let him walk. The Pelicans aren't even a guarantee to make the playoffs next year in the loaded West. Years of constantly losing could eventually lead to him wanting out. Of course, Zion is still very early in his career. His rookie contract hasn't even finished yet, so I highly doubt that he's going to demand a trade this soon into his career. While Zion may not be a happy camper, the first priority of young stars is to get their first big payday, then go to their preferred destination. So if Zion to New York were to happen, it wouldn't occur for years to come after he extends with New Orleans. But if the Pelicans keep losing and Zion wants out, expect the Knicks to be one of his preferred destinations. Zion reportedly was unhappy the Knicks didn't get the #1 pick back in 2019. And of course, the Knicks have his close friend, RJ Barrett, who he played with at Duke. Zion to New York wouldn't happen until many years down the line, but if the stars do align, it's something that could definitely happen. The fourth player in this video we're going to talk about is Damian Lillard. Dame is the oldest player in this video, but he's also the best. He's coming off a year averaging 29 points and 7 assists per game, and is undoubtedly a top 10 player in this league. It's no secret that Dame could have won out of Portland. Despite his insane production, the Blazers have failed to put a contending team around him. The Blazers have lost in the first round in 4 of the past 5 years. Even a 55-point game and one of the clutchest performances I've ever seen wasn't enough to get the Blazers past the Nuggets in last season's playoffs. The Blazers front office has done nothing this offseason to suggest that they'll be a contending team next year. The only significant move they made was re-signing Norman Powell to a 5-year deal. They needed to bring him back, but they made no additions that moved the needle. Dame hasn't officially declared a trade, but one more early playoff exit could be the last straw for him. At 31 years old, Dame doesn't want to spend the rest of his prime losing in the first round. According to odds makers, the Knicks are the favorite to land Damian Lillard should he hit the trade market. Stephen A. Smith of ESPN has also said that if Dame does hit the trade market, the Knicks is his first choice. One more year of losing early in the playoffs could be the breaking point for Dame, which could lead to him wanting out of Portland and to New York. And the last player we're going to talk about is De'Aaron Fox. In the past, Fox has made enemies with a significant number of Knicks fans. Back in 2020, he made fun of the Knicks after they fell back to the 8th pick in the draft in a tweet. He went on to delete the tweet after getting attacked by Knicks fans on Twitter after the Knicks beat the Kings last season. If you're a Knicks fan, you may not want Fox because of that petty drama, but that should be quickly forgotten when you realize Fox is one of the top point guards in the league. He may not have made an All-Star team yet, but that's only because he plays for the bottom-feeding Kings. Last season, he averaged 25 points and 7 assists per game on 48% shooting. It isn't unreasonable to think that Fox will eventually want out of Sacramento. The Kings are currently suffering the longest playoff drought in the league. They haven't made the postseason in 15 seasons. In the loaded Western Conference, it doesn't appear the Kings will make the playoffs anytime soon. The Kings front office have made some serious misfires that have hurt their rebuild, including drafting the oft-injured Marvin Bagley over Luka Doncic in 2018. De'Aaron Fox is under contract until the 2025-26 season, but a few more years of losing could lead to him wanting out. If Fox does eventually become available, the Knicks should be one of the top suitors, as Fox is one of the top players in the league, and at just 23 years old, he's only getting better from here. Anyway guys, that's going to be the end of the video. The Knicks are definitely headed in the right direction. As long as they made respectable, they can land at least one of these guys in the future. But that's going to be it for me. Make sure to like the video and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and have a great rest of your day.